Alright, there are two questions that people have been asking me that I'd like to answer right now. The first is, what's with your last two videos? Why were they so short and watered down just like the WWE? Well, the answer to that is simple, and it's that they were experimental. You see, after my WrestleMania review vid, which I used to find out that the haters are barely even watching the vids before bashing them, I just decided to toss out a few short 3 to 5 minute test videos, and that's all there was to that. Now, the second question people have been asking me is, why haven't you been reviewing all these live shows you've been going to? 4 reasons. 1, the annoyingness of the WWE. 2, the oversaturation of reviews that are already here by geeks who are posting them up immediately after the shows end. 3, the realization that it's not the job nor purpose of this channel to try to fix a broken rating system. And 4, I've been going to them live, and the live experience is a lot different than the TV experience. Well, people then further ask, why haven't you been reviewing your experience with these live trips then? You know, like you did with Against All Odds. That's a reasonable request, and that's what I will do in this video. You know how they always put stadiums and arenas in questionable neighborhoods? Well, after arriving in Norfolk, Virginia, I'm led into the scary-ass, broken-down Chevy taxi, right? I get in the taxi, and before I even have a chance to say anything, the vehicle starts moving. I look ahead, and the driver is this scary-ass guy in rags, right, who turns around, and he's like, "Where you going?" I give him the address, and he just turns back around. I'm like, "So, do you know where that is?" Then he snaps back. "Of course I know where that is, fool! I'm a taxi driver!" I'm like, okay, you know. So we arrive at the hotel. I get the hell out of the car, you know, and I walk in and I check in. And as I always do, I ask, you know, are there any restaurants or any food places around here that I can go out to eat? He's like, yeah, there are plenty of places here. There are tons. You go out, there are tons of options. And not knowing the nature of the neighborhood, I say, okay, that's great. Walk out the front door. 2 minutes later, I'm walking back and fuck this place, I am getting room service, okay? So I go to my room and I order room service, alright? About 30 minutes later, someone's knocking on my door. I answer the door, and there is Zeus holding my food, okay? The only thing missing is the Z, alright? I look up at him, and he's like, $20.75 cash. I'm like, can you charge it to my room? He's like, cash. I'm like, fine, okay, I have cash. I give him the cash, and he's like, thank you, have a nice evening. I'm like, what? You know? So I get my food and I eat, okay? As I'm eating, apparently the rest of the floor is booked by little kids and their parents having some kind of birthday party. Okay, so as I'm eating, there are all these little girls, you know, 10 to 13-year-olds running down the hallway giggling. The whole damn time, okay? I finish my food, alright, and just as I'm putting on my jacket, getting ready to head out, one of the moms stops the little girls in the hallway, okay? And they're like, girls, you can't do this, okay? It's dangerous. There could be like an axe murder in one of these rooms. There could be like a rapist that's going to grab you in one of these rooms, rape you, and kill you. And just at that moment, I walk out the door, and all of them look up at me like, I'm like, what the hell is all this shit? I just want to go watch wrestling, you know? So I finally go downstairs and I finally go to see TNA Destination X. And what a great show it was, okay? Anyone on here who's been to a TNA show will tell you how much better the live experience is, okay? And one of the reasons is the people, the fans that are there, because they are people just like you. Guys 16 to 30 who know about wrestling, who know about what they're watching. Okay, and this makes all the difference in the world. Watching it with people like you turbocharges the event. However good the actual event itself is, watching it with people like this makes it even better. It makes a championship edition, okay? Balrog and Vega are playable in TNA pay-per-views, alright? And it was just a great experience. You know, I know the popular opinion on here is that Against All Odds was better than DX, but from a live perspective, DX, the show itself was so much more enjoyable than Against All Odds. For example, the Fish Market Street Fight. I can see how it would seem just mediocre on TV, but in in the live in person, you know, you got people getting sprayed, food in the air, fish flying everywhere. Fantastic. Okay? And another thing that is always present is how much TNA cares about the fans. You know, Dixie Carter walking around, she said hi to me again, and the wrestlers who actually seem to care about what the fans think. When Gail Kim came down, everyone was cheering that I saw except me. You know, I was booing. You know, so when she came down and she came by me, I was like, boo, mediocre. If you use slow motion, you can see it on the tape, you know. And she looked at me like with a slightly concerned face, you know. And then after the pay-per-view, I think she lost, right? So as she was rolling out of the ring, she was holding her head because she lost. She rolled out of the ring and she was like looking at me the whole time, you know, to watch me clap for her before going up the ring. What is this, you know? You mean wrestlers actually caring what the fans think? You know, like, what a difference. You know, the level of care and friendliness in TNA, along with the kinds of crowds they attract, just makes all the difference in the world. And this was an incredible experience. When you go to a TNA live show, what you are getting is Championship Edition. Baltimore's not that close either, but I'm pretty familiar with the area. I've been to a lot of concerts. They have a lot of friends that go to dental school there, so I decided to go by car. And when I got there to the arena, all I see is this long-ass line of people looping around the arena, okay? Why do people do that? Why do people stand in line for hours? It's assigned seats. Go out, get something to eat, come back when the doors open. And that's what I did. And when I walk into the arena, wow, what a different universe from TNA, okay? Hannah Montana galore, all these little kids, their parents are all these casual fans, okay? And why is it, from my experience, that so many WWE fans seem to stink? You know, when I'm in line for food and merchandise, there's just a strong stench of disgusting sweat, okay? But I guess with all these little kids and their fat moms, it's going to smell like that. This was not going to be Championship Edition. This was going to be regular edition of Street Fighter 2. It was just a matter of whether it's going to be Super Nintendo version or Game Boy. And thankfully, I'm happy to say that it was strongly Super Nintendo. What a fantastic show from top to bottom. Almost no slow parts whatsoever. A completely enjoyable experience. Okay? The triple threat match was super exciting to watch in person. And a lot of people were asking me, why were you dancing when Chris Jericho was coming down the aisle? I wasn't dancing when Chris Jericho was coming down the aisle. When he was coming down the aisle, he was bopping his chin to the beat of the music, like strut, like ding, 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 ding. I was just looking at him and copying what he was doing. Okay? And another thing is, Mickie James sweats like a pig. Okay? At least my opinion from what I saw and felt on that night. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was oil, sweat, you know, cream. I have no idea what that was. Okay? But after the match, when the women were walking by and a lot of them were shaking my hand, they felt relatively dry. Okay? But when Mickie James came by and she gave me the high five, it was like, I was like, oh! You know, I don't know what. Maybe it's because she worked harder that match. I don't know what it was, okay? But it felt nasty, and I haven't felt the same of her since, you know? I had a dream a few nights ago where I was in a race with the Ultimate Warrior and Chris Jericho, and we were just running down the track. You know, Ric Flair was at the finish line in his suit holding up the trophy going, woo, woo! You know, I was running. I was about even with the Ultimate Warrior. Chris Jericho was about a step ahead, but he was like running like an idiot. He was like, you know, and when we blasted by the finish line, you know, all the divas were like giving us hugs, but when Mickie James gave me the hug in the dream, it was like, and I was like, oh, you know, and I like Mickie James too. She's one of the better divas in my opinion. Okay, but back to Backlash, it was a fantastic show. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. But the thing about it is that even though I enjoyed the experience, I had no urge whatsoever to watch Raw the next night. Okay, zero. I skipped Raw the next night. All right? And that goes to show the importance of storyline and booking to connect the shows together. Because even if it's a good show, if you don't have the storyline, if you don't have the writing, you don't have anything to bring the audience into the next show. Okay? Storyline and booking are the heart and soul of professional wrestling. And that is something today, that's something that WWE and TNA sorely needs to work on.